So while I'm loading that, I am going to say I just took over this position in January. I have mainly been in the associate degree program, so I'm going to ask Peggy and Christine, who've been in the RNWS and the LPN, if there's any questions you guys ask me that I don't know. I'm going to have them answer because I'm still trying to learn that. The nursing department has made a lot of changes, and when I get this up, you'll be able to see where we are now, but what we're doing. And the most important thing for us is what we're doing to make our program stronger and to make our pass rates come up and to make our students go out and be responsible, accountable, and knowledgeable and really shine out in the community. Okay. I don't know what to do here, Kirk. It's not loading. I kind of just wanted to quickly go through some of, is it coming up? All right. Okay. So I had taken each of our departments, and what I did is I just went down and I took out our critical thinking and communication aspects and just kind of linked what our EPSLOs is what we use for our ACEN accreditation, and linked it to what Kirk had said was an ISLO. So I just went back through, and for the associate degree, I'm not going to spend a lot of time, but we do use nursing judgment for critical thinking, and we use evidence-based practice for our our communication skills, because they do have to do some teaching to their patients. For the LPN students, we look at critical thinking and communication in these 4 EPSLs. And what I did is I tried to link it so you could figure out our ACEN standards compared to what Kurt had won. For both RN and LPN, the licensure is a concern for us. We are showing an upward trend, and I will show you that data later. For our RN to BSN, I've taken these 4 goals and linked them, and program completion rate. So for our associate degrees, I'm not even going to spend a lot of time here, but what we're doing is we're trying to use our predictors. We, this year, for the cohort who's graduating in May, we changed from HESI to Kaplan. Kaplan's one of the top-rated programs out there for nursing passage of their NCLEX, and they have a lot of extra stuff they can do. So this is going to be like the first year we're using that to see where we stand. They get secure predictors at the end of each semester. So at the end of their first semester, they got a critical thinking, they got a fundamentals, and they got a wellness. And then the end of their second would be their OB and their psych. We just did a med surg and a pediatric, I think we did, right? So that was what we did this semester. And each cohort has their own. So what we do is we were using them. Now the data here that's on here is from HESI, which is our previous program. So when we get our new data in at the end of the graduation, we'll see some different numbers. But hopefully it's going to show a better rate. And of course our NCLEX passage rate, we want it to be 80% or higher. Currently I believe we're at 76. Which is an upward trend for us.
For the 80th.
For the 80th, yes.
Right.
For the PNs, basically the same thing. We've done some practice lab changes. Christine had just gone through an ACEN certification. They have completely revamped this program, made it very much close to what ACEN wants. So that's an all-new program, started this year, right, Christine?
What's that?
The people coming in this year started with the new ACEN standards with the program?
Well, the ACEN standards were there, and what they did is they changed. What we did in the program is we decided to go for that higher accreditation, and through that process we analyzed everything that was already established in the PN program to see if our vision in that program was where we needed to be. And what we found with the ACEN accreditation is that our curriculum and our students are right where we had to be. There was very minor recommendations that we made through that process. That process gave the faculty and I that teach in that program the vision that what we're seeing with our students, where we're looking at the NCLEX, where they come in with their rubric and how are they scored when they come into the program. We're looking at AMP, we're looking at all these other values of how to have a good student in that program to see if we can even keep our board pass rates high. We had a little bit of a dip this year, and we're seeing that the test changed, and we're seeing that there's no really good solid rhyme or reason on this group of students and why this group that just graduated performed a little bit more poorly than others. So we're re-looking at all that data again. I now have 4 years of solid data on the remediation I put my students through and everything. But that accreditation process, as painful as it was so meaningful to me as a faculty member, because I looked at every standard and put all the information for each standard behind it. And had to look at every word and dot every I and cross every T, and I learned so much from that. And to see where we're going with our program to best meet the needs of our students. So basically, we didn't really have to revamp anything. What we had to do was take what we have and keep pushing forward with what the best evidence is out there, and changing our teaching and bringing everything more alive for the students. That's basically the process that we went through in the program.
Okay. And as with the associate degree, the LPN pass rate is still not where we want it to be. Our RN to BSN, we basically were taking our EPSLOs, linking them to the ISLOs, and we picked out a few courses that we could strongly link these. Completion rate, there's a graduation rate, but I can't really get a solid number on which are full-time and completed there in 150% and what are the part-times that did it in 300% of the time. So I'm still working with people on that. It hasn't really been tracked since 2014 or 2012, somewhere in there, so I'm really still researching that. I'm not getting a clear answer on that. These are some of the scores, and like he said, we don't really have to spend time on them other than the fact that our cohorts, both the LPN and the RN, are starting to trend upward in a lot of stuff. So I guess what I want to get to is, what has this told us? Well, with the associate degree, it told us we really need to look at a lot of things. We need to look at our pass rates. Why are we not passing? One of the things we found was our rounding policy. If somebody got a 74.5, we would allow them to pass. Well, when we went back over our data, we noticed that those people weren't passing their boards as strongly as the people who had that solid 75. So we now have a no rounding policy. We also had to tighten up our attendance policy. We didn't really have clear wordage, and we still don't, and we're still working on revising that. But we really need to look at that, because we have found that students that miss a lot don't really do well on their boards. So we've got to make sure, and as well as attendance, we want to instill in them responsibility, accountability, and the professionalism. This is a professional field, and we want people to come out there. They're representing us as SUNY. So you don't want them to come out there and be call-offs and then have people saying, well, wow, SUNY students call off. So that's one of the things we try to instill in all of our students. We have a lot of turnover with staff. Christine, Holly, and John have worked on a mentoring policy, which is going to be awesome once we get it rolled out. That's going to take those new staff under their wing and help them, because as a new staff member, when I first came here, I floundered. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know who to talk to. And if it wouldn't have been for my fellow cohort and my fellow workers, I probably would have really been lost. So we are working on strengthening that, and that in turn is going to help our instructors feel more confident.
Bring forward, Kim, excuse me, that process came from the PN accreditation process.
Yes.
And those reviewers looking to see that we need to strengthen that. We've always had a tag team type situation where you always help your peers and whatnot, but they wanted to see a policy that we had that was a little bit more congruent with our faculty here. And it's all set up. It's exciting.
It is exciting to get it started. Pretty much Christine has told us what our data has showed us. I'm not going to go over this again and make your ears tired. We do try to, in all of our programs, I know Peggy does it, I know all of my instructors in the ASN program do, and I know Christine does it. We are there for our students. Our office hours might say we're there 2 to 4, but I'm there. I come in at 7 in the morning and I'm there. But I have set office hours. But if a student needs me, it's not a problem for me to come and see them at any time. And I've met with students at 6:30 in the morning when I could get there. For the RN to BSN, we have realized that these are working RNs who have families, who have kids, and life interferes. Everybody knows about life. So what it had told us that is some of them do have a problem with meeting multiple roles, because this is an online program. And they're having problems with responsibilities at home. We really pushed to get the part-time program, and that's been a success, and we have more students doing well in that. Student retention. Basically, I'm having a real hard time getting this data, but there is, again, the issue with illness and death. Our students do need formal mentoring. They need to be able to reach out to Peggy or John and say, hey, I'm having a question, and I know I've been in the office and heard Peggy on the phone with lots of them. So our students do get the support they need. We also need to have, for our BSN program, we need it like a stronger recruiter. We need them to go out to like, what's the one in Adirondack? Not Paul Smith's, North Country. The North Country and the 2-year colleges, and we need them to go out there and start saying, you know, we have an RN to BSN program. You know, once you graduate.
Sites where you can grab them.
Yep, and we're looking into preceptor sites now. In fact, I'm doing affiliation agreements with a lot of them and trying to really get those sites strengthened up so we can tell our students, hey, you live in the Bronx? I have this hospital down in the Bronx. So I'm working on that. I've been trying to get a lot of those contracts done. What are we doing to close the loop? Well, we talked about some of this. We have a no rounding policy. We're emphasizing attendance. We also, starting with the cohort that graduates in 2019, they have to take an entrance exam. It's not a nursing entrance exam. It's a can you read, write, and do math exam. Where are you? Are you ready for college? And we accept a 60% or higher. And we've had a lot of students who have met that, and it has made a difference in our classroom with our students. We are not going to really be able to study too much of that till we get a few years of data, but that's kind of exciting for us. Our PN program has aligned with the standards. They restructured it. Like I said, with the completion rates for the RN to BSN, we do need to do some more digging to find those rates. Some of the things that we have used, we were linked with Nurse Tim, who is huge with nursing education. And Deb, prior to her leaving last spring, had gotten us a 1-year subscription to these webinars that have lots of teaching information in them. It's about to expire, so I am going to try to push to get it redone because it's got so much good information. I have clinical adjuncts that come into our program who've never taught, but they go in the hospital and they work with our students. And they just came out with a really great one that I've got to research a little bit more, but it's for all of our new ones. Every instructor who's an adjunct gets assigned 3 that they have to complete. Full-timers, we get more. So I myself, because I'm new to this, I've been a director in hospitals and nursing homes in the past 3 or 4 times, but I've never been in a college. So I'm going for ACE and standards training in March. So I'm going to take the break and go out and take my training. We're trying to do more education for our instructors on different types of activities. Holly, for one, has come up with some awesome ideas for their associate program with how to do some alternative format teaching, and we do a lot of that. And nursing tutors for both programs is a problem. We don't have enough of them, and when we do have them, their hours just aren't congruent with our student hours, so it is a problem. So that's something we'd like to look into. And I already talked about this one. We do need to get that active recruiter out there, and she needs to clinical the preceptor site and look at those too. And then we're going to continue doing our formal mentoring. We're excited. We're looking at this project anew, and we're hoping we can continue with the education for all of our instructors. Kurt is already going to start training us on ISLOs and all of this because I think a lot of us are new, and it's just, yes, in a hospital, this is a care plan, but what is it in a college? So we want to really get it down, and we want to take our time and learn it in a way that it's not being thrown at us, and then we have to regurgitate it without really getting that concrete knowledge. And I think once we get that, that's going to move this program forward in leaps and bounds. We also, I do want to say, and most of our instructors don't know this, we got approved to get Meditech. One of our local clinical facilities has dedicated, and they're going to donate us a Meditech program, which is a documentation system they use in the hospitals. So this is going to help our students be able to at least see what they might. They might not even use this system where they go, but it is going to help us. We currently use a system called DocuCare, which we've been using. It would be awesome if we could get somebody to build us a homegrown from us, and then we could patent it. But I don't have that technology to do that. So if anybody has any ideas, we would greatly appreciate it. Any questions?